Well, let me to welcome you to Berkeley. You were born in a small town, and at a very young age were found to be the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, taken to Lhasa at a time when there were no cars, no electricity, and tutored in Buddhist theology. And yet here you are at Berkeley, arriving with a police motorcade, flying in jet planes. And I wonder, do you sometimes feel a bit as if you had already been reincarnated in this life?
Yes, I would say. Oh, I think yes. Even I think the duration, you say up to 59, another period. Then since 59, now more than 38 years. So that itself also almost like a new reincarnation.
When you were a young boy in Lhasa and you thought of the outside world, what was in your mind? How did you imagine the world beyond Tibet?
Since my childhood, so I'm very, very fond to see pictures or some different pictorial books, and also some toys, and of course watch. So so it seems, I think, perhaps my previous life may be mechanical person. Since childhood, I always very, very fond, to look at these things. I think then another idea factor, the third Dalai Lama, I think fortunately, I think he left many small things, including pictorial books, and one I think a very important item for me is one old movie projector by manual hand. So that movie projector, old enough, often damaged. So therefore, they need, very often, repair work. So at that, then my age, about 6-7 years old. So that time, our great technicians in Nobulinga Palace was one old Chinese Buddhist monk. Very good monk, very good one. You see, I was told, his parent, gift to third Dalai Lama when he was in China. So that is a monk, very good monk. He we consider a great technician. He knows everything, all this technology. And he carried his work. And then after he passed away, now whole responsibility ran on my shoulder to repair work for that small movie projector. Yeah. So then I developed some interest, the electricity, how it comes. And then in that movie projector, and on one part, there is small dynamo, what we call dynamo. So you see, these develop some kind of fascination. So you see, more eager to know about outside the world, and particularly the West. And then also, now today many people call me as a man of peace. But when I was small, I have great interest about the pictorial book of First World War and Second World War, and especially those destructive instruments, big guns or machine guns or all these, every small pistol. I very, very fond. I think many young Americans also I think fond these small beautiful guns. Although these are very, very destructive, very bad, but very smart. So I think these, I think they, I think, because of these, I think the factor, they, in my mind, they, about West or technology is not something strange or not something familiar. Those Western sort of technology, these things, and also the West, about West. So perhaps I think one is a little bit story. When I was in China, 1954 and 55, I remember very clearly one occasion, in Tungbe area, northeast of China.
This is your first time out of
Yes, that's right. You see, I remember very clearly. You see, one occasion, museum. There, the pictures of the Second World War, and what call that warship, where the signature of unconditional surrender by Japanese, and General MacArthur, took that as a signature. What would call that name of that ship, battleship?
Missouri.
Missouri, yeah. So you see, when in that museum, to me, all these pictures are very familiar. I know who is who. But then you see, the Chinese, the
curator at the museum.
When you see the picture, you see, when we came at the front of that is a picture. I know, you see, the MacArthur and the American, battleship. That I know. Then I asked, what is this ship? Of which country? Then that person told, Russian ship. Then I don't just laugh. I know these things. So anyway, and then later, of course, the Henry Hara, and also some of the Tibetan lay officials, who know English. I had more acquaintance with these people. So then I think this 73, that was my first trip to Europe. Then, then I think 79 to America. When I visit these new places, they like the Westminster of England, or that is bridge. These are very, very familiar to me. And in New York, that time the highest building, what do you call?
Empire.
102.
Empire State.
Oh yes, these are very, very familiar to me. So therefore, strangers in Mexico.
His Holiness did not feel that he was in a totally strange country.
So it seems, I think, when I was child, small, they involved in these. I think it helped.
You love movies, and I wonder, and Heinrich Haar actually built you a little movie theater. Do you still like movies? Do you watch films?
Yes, generally I like movie, but the type of film mainly documentaries. And animals about nature. That I really like. Then what do you call feature films? Feature films, I'm not much interested because I know this is artificial, just act like that. So you see, but one thing, they laid kojak. It's like monk. A few occasions I saw. Very beautiful.
Well, the reason I ask is because there are several feature films now being made about you. and your life. And how is it going to be to see yourself on the screen?
Basically, I feel these coming films, I think, useful, helpful, in the sense is more people then is you get, I think, the idea what's Tibet, what really happened in the last few decades. So in that sense, I think very, very useful, very useful. Now, for example, the what called Little Buddha is that film. From the Buddhist perspective or from the Buddhist viewpoint, a Buddha story cannot acted by one ordinary people or ordinary person. However, you see that film, I think, reach millions of people's mind. What is Buddha? What is Siddhartha? And I think basic Buddhist teaching also is a message or teaching or message also is reach to many millions of people. So therefore, I think it is good.
It's undeniable that there's a real interest in the West now about Tibet, about Tibetan Buddhism, and yourself. How do you analyze that? Do you think it sometimes over-romanticizes Tibet?
Perhaps I think at different period, I think maybe it's a different sort of perception. Right? I think the 60s and 70s, some people all those who have, I think, very much interest about Tibet, but then it's a reason like book of Losang Ramba, Losang Ramba, third eye. So you see people have some kind of
So in these cases, much of the interest in Tibet really comes from a fascination and expectation of finding some kind of mysteries in the Tibetan cultural world.
Few occasions, actually, some people ask me whether there is a tradition of operation for third eye. I think such a silly thing. I think that if you take operation, I think it will be very, very painful. No gain wisdom. So then later, I think that nowadays, I think 80s and 90s, I think late 70s, I think the people now get, I think, the clear picture about what's Tibetan culture, Tibetan Buddhism. I think more healthy now, more healthy. And also, I think in early 60s, many what are called happy. The happies is also taking interest about the Tibetan culture. I think that also, I think the one sense, I think they helped a lot, I think, regarding the more awareness about Tibetan culture. But now, that unit also is gone. So more healthy sort of, more stable, I think, the interest, I think, developed. So at different period, I think different way of perception. Perceptions.
I read the other day that you said, I think maybe it was in Denver, you said, some of you may have a wrong impression about me as a mysterious person from a faraway place. That is wrong. We are all the same human being. Do you enjoy this notion of being somehow extra human?
Well, that's of course, really, sometimes the people, some individuals really believe I have some kind of extraordinary sort of power or magic power. Some I think with that kind of expectation, seeking some kind of help. That's nonsense. And I think I want to make clear. I want to say some usually the description about me is God King. And that, and living Buddha. I think this is I think a wrong word. In Tibetan word, the guru or lama, guru, Sanskrit word, the equivalent to the Tibetan word is lama. Lama means something worthy to respect and teachable.
An embodiment of kindness, compassion.
So no meaning of Buddha, living Buddha. The word living Buddha, it seems to me, the Chinese usually call Hofu. Hofu, something like, is it living Buddha? So I think the word living Buddha, I think will come from, I think, the Chinese word Hofu. This is no such meaning in Tibetan word, Lama or Guru. So the living Buddha is wrong, misleading. Then, of course, God came. Firstly, what's the concept of God? God as a creator. Then Buddhists do not accept that. God, in the sense, is infinite love, infinite compassion. Then, of course, Buddhists also say, accept that. But then, still, the God King means, and then almost, I think, like the Buddha. So, among the reincarnations, there are many levels of different reincarnations. So, usually I describe myself as a simple Buddhist monk. That's all. No more, no less.
The other day, I ran into a student in the hallway one of whose close relatives had died. And I thought of you and thought of what Tibetan Buddhism has to say about death. I wondered if you'd talk a little bit about how you view death and the death of family members, loved ones.
I think firstly, to someone who have no belief, religious belief, just one non-believer. In such case, I feel, firstly, I think it is useful to accept death as a part of our life. Just this morning, one question, one conversation. That is true. Now it's the science. Medical science, and using gene technology, genetic technology. Whether there is possibility to know death. Then I responded, oh, that's difficult. The whole galaxies, whole world have death, their own death. So how can, humanity, one human being, no death? I think that's impossible. But it is possible to prolong our life, usually about 100 years. That could be 200 years, 300 years, very good. So even then, sooner or later you have to face death. So therefore, it is much, much better to accept death as part of our life. Think about it, and to make familiar to oneself. And so that when actual death comes, it's normal. Now the end is come. End is coming. All right, okay. If you just try to avoid, not talk about that, not think about that, sooner or later, that will come. Then at that moment, you're totally unprepared. And then I think that person may get, greater shock. So that is my suggestion. Then also, I think once you see that kind of attitude towards one's own death, then of course the other, your lover or your close friend, also when death comes, of course it is sad. And then death come. This fact is fact. So there, I think one Indian Buddhist master is stated. I think that also can be applied to ordinary people, to ordinary person. That if some tragic things happen, then think about that as a tragic situation. If there is a way to overcome, then no need to worry. And if there is no way to overcome that, no use to worry. I think that's good. Think about this, the unfortunate situation. If nothing can be done, then I think better to accept, yes, no, it is fact. That's my belief. And then basically once you accept it, that as a part of life, that also I think make difference. Then of course some young age, death occurred at a young age, and also especially I think due to carelessness or something. Then of course there are more reasons to worry, to grieve. Then that grief, what really, what help from that is grief? No, just a more mental burden. So I think if you really concerned about that death, then perhaps I think better to effort to make effort to fulfill that person's wish. Of course, if you wish something negative, then I think don't bother. If you say that wish is something really meaningful or some positive, then I think instead of worry, instead of grievance, I think better to do something in the memory of that. In the memory of that, you see. When you see my first mother, since I reached near Lhasa, this is old monk, look after me, take care about me. Uneducated, very honest one. When he passed away, I really felt very sad. And then I learned, we human beings also, I think they, among the mammals. So therefore, usually you see dogs and cats, they don't know who is who. They don't care about education or wealth. But only the person who feeding them, that is the most precious. So I think my case also, you see that person, this is I think the 6-year-old or 5-year-old. Then you see, he carried the responsibility to feeding me. So this person, when he dies, I really feel very, very sad. Although you see, he, at the time of his death, already I think 81. So that time, so you see that, so that time, you see, now, what point I'm trying to make clear that I forget. Pity. So is it that time? Is it no, really, I forget.
I'd ask you about death, but maybe we shouldn't dwell on death. Let me ask you another question about.
No, please let me think. Let me think. Hello, 아니, 바로. Oh, now really it's hopeless. Now really hopeless. Now in any way, this is such experiences come. Then usually, you see, firstly, you see, remember that's part of our life. Secondly, now no use to worry, and better, you see, to carry. Now, for example, my own tutor's case, better to carry their, you see, wish, and myself be a good monk, a sincere Buddhist, and carry the Buddhist teaching, carry the responsibility of Buddhist teaching. So then, you see, even you see, sometimes I get some kind of the feeling. What's it? Now I have the bigger sort of responsibility. Instead of just worry. Now think more alertly. So you see, the worry or grievance transform in a new will or determination. So that's very helpful. That's my own case. I practice. I try to practice that way.
Do you are a monk? You're unmarried. Do you miss not having children? Is it sometimes lonely being in your position?
Oh, as far as the children is concerned, no worry. When I saw it, a lot of parents, when they have no children, they always complain, I want a child. When they have more child, oh, too much. and not only that, the many years, you see, they carry some kind of concern about their health, their education, their future. Then worst case, when these children grown up, create a lot of trouble for parents. So you see, I feel very lucky.
I want to just change subjects here. When it was announced that we were going to have this conversation, I got a letter from the consulate of the People's Republic of China. They were not pleased that we would have this occasion, and they sent me some materials, and I want to just read a few little things and get your reaction. They sent me some articles. First one is headlined, Dalai Lama supports riots, disrupts Tibetan stability. Second one is exposing the trickery of the Dalai Lama. And the third one is Dalai sabotages religious order. Now, I want to talk a little bit about China, but when you read these sorts of things, how do you interpret them, and what's your reaction?
What was the first point?
Dalai Lama supports riots, disrupts Tibetan stability.
Oh, the other day, I also heard very briefly, I think in what called Fox television. Yeah, I think in Denver, I saw it briefly. I turned the television, then I saw yesterday, I think one official, Chinese embassy in Washington, he stated, I think this is similar. When I look at that, the sentences, the Dalai Lama say, in case, creates the instability. He made example 1959. Dalai Lama opened revolt. Then At that time, I felt, what was the causes of 59 crisis? Since around late 55, some open revolt started from eastern part of Tibet. Then that year by year spread out. Then, 58, 59, the whole Tibet, now that things has happened. So the question is, it is very important to think, what is the causes? What was the causes of, 55, 56, the open revolt in eastern part of Tibet? These Chinese reforms. Of course, we Tibet need reform. That's why, when I was in Tibet, I think around 1952 or 51, 52, we set up one reform committee to carry some reforms. And even I think late Dalai Lama, third Dalai Lama, also started some reform work. So that means, we need reform. But reform not the similar reform which took place in China proper. This is condition is different. So because of that, I think they are reform, the way of reform, too extreme. So that was the causes. So therefore, the 56, when I was in India, the Chuan then conveyed me one message from Chairman Mao that now Tibet, reform in Tibet postponed 6 years. Then even after 6 years, they still in the local condition not right, then can further postpone. So this is Chairman Mao himself recognized. The causes of the crisis because of the reform. So the causality. There is 59, what they call uprising or some crisis or open revolt in Lhasa. That was the causes. Then the very day, or very early day, they opened fire or artillery. The usually Chinese government document, they usually stated the Tibetan side was open fire first. But then, I think 3-4 years ago, one book in Chinese, published I think in China, later that got confiscated.
Later it was withdrawn.
Withdrawn. That book wrote by one Chinese army official. In that book, clearly stated their side, they open fire first, not the official sort of version. So these are the fact. So that's I think. So actually, I think since this crisis happened, that was 1950 and 51. All my the effort is in the spirit of reconciliation through non-violence that I did. But then this over revolt out of my control. What to do? And then later, some Tibetans kept in the Tibetan Nepalese border, and now open secret some CIA agents also involved, and my elder brother Galutun involved. Now actually at that time, our exile government at Dharamsala, and some group in Darjeeling within ourselves. Sometimes some rift also happen. These are the facts. So that's I think my response to the first one. The second.
Well, you don't need to reply.
So anyway, now I do not want you to argue these things. Best thing is, please, Professor Da, look in depth what really happened in last now more than 40 years. And even before, what kind of relations with China? So as you study more unbiasedly and objectively, then you will get the real truth. That's my own response.
Nonetheless, the Beijing government, I think, still does very much view you and your exiled government as splittist. And also, after your recent trip to Taiwan, I think many leaders imagine that you and Taiwan are teaming up in a kind of conspiracy of independence. How do you reply to that suggestion?
You know, my position is I'm seeking genuine autonomy. I'm not seeking independence. Of course, historically, I think Tibet is a separate nation. So in any way, whether it's in the past Tibet part of China or not, it is up to history and legal expert. That's not a political solution, not political.
Not in the hand of the politicians.
Not the hand of politician. So I am saying, if we go back past, there are a lot of problems there. But better to forget about past. History is history. Now look forward. And then even two separate community can easily join. That's my fundamental belief.
Do you think that the situation can be solved peacefully?
That's my belief. I'm committed fully that. And also there are some reasons to be optimistic. So actually, sometimes I do feel indirectly I'm helping about the unity and stability in the People's Republic of China. So now is regarding my recent visit to Taiwan. In fact, you see, the meeting with the DBB leaders, sometimes we feel a little bit, you see, the difficulties.
This is the Democratic Progressive
Yes.
Party that advocates some form of independence for Taiwan.
They want independence of Taiwan, and also they openly support about Tibetan independence. So then, finally, they are very eager. Then I received them because they are very, very supportive for us. So then at the meeting, I told them friendly that I very much appreciate your stand about the Tibetan legitimate right, independence. But at the same time, I want to make clear to you that I'm not seeking independence. I'm seeking genuine self-rule or autonomy. Then also I further told them, exchange my views that regarding independence of Taiwan also, in emotional level, everybody wants independence. But this is now not the right way to look from that level. Now we have to think on more calmly. So then the economy field, now almost, you see, there's no room about complete independence. And the Taiwan economy very much, you see, dependent on, you see, mainland China. And then second, the defense. So in these two fields, the Taiwan have to think some special relations with mainland China. I give them this my belief. And in my own case, Tibetan issue also see on these bases, I prefer, even from the long-term interest for Tibet ourselves. Another is the field, in economy field. Now Tibet, landlocked country, big area, small population, difficult communication, at the same time, the rich natural resources. So now, in order to develop materially more quickly, if we join with another big nation, more advanced, then so we may get a greater benefit instead of remaining separate completely. So that's why it's a fundamental belief. So that's why I'm trying to seek genuine autonomy, not separation. And also, once the mutually agreeable solution found in Tibetan issue, regarding Tibetan issue, I think very, very positive impact in the minds of another 6 million people in Hong Kong. And then also this, I think the positive impact on another about 21 million of Taiwanese also. So regarding reunification, of course it's both China, the Taiwan or mainland China, is both very much concerned about one China.
So you can agree basically with the policy of one China peacefully reunited?
This I always express, that's up to them. It is their right, it's their choice. They basically, as I mentioned earlier, they now concept of independence now somewhere, I think the old concept. Now today's world is heavily interdependent, interconnected. So that's my. But at the same time, I really concerned about democracy, freedom, which now Taiwanese enjoyed. That I think should be preserved, should protect. Then you see the Tibetan issue once solved to mutually agreeable solution. I think it also see some repercussion in other area. They usually the local people call East Pakistan, but the Chinese call Xinjiang. You see, some is recently some is riots or some is problems, disturbance there.
In Muslim areas.
Uyghur Muslim area. So I think positive impact to there also will come. I feel. So then another thing, in the outside world, if you see some positive resolution happen regarding Tibetan issue, I think the image of People's Republic of China on the outside world, I think immediately change, much change, I think. So then also I think the U.S.-China relations also I think they improve, I feel. So therefore, this current situation is neither good for Tibet nor People's Republic of China also.
And yet, I know you're very concerned that Tibetan culture may be suffering seriously, and the increased number of Chinese in Lhasa and Tibet may have an influence that is not entirely helpful in preserving Tibetan culture. Do you worry about this?
Oh yes. Under present conditions, all things are really very, very serious. In few words, whether intentionally or unintentionally, some kind of cultural genocide is taking place. And also the large-scale damage about environment, including like deforestation. So the things are really very serious. And also from certain viewpoint, the time is running out. However, as I mentioned, basically I'm optimistic. Why? The world is changing quite rapidly. And awareness about Tibet also now growing year by year, quite rapidly. In many places, in Europe, in America, in many places. And then, most important, among the Chinese intellectuals, Chinese writers, artists, or thinkers, philosophers, now more and more awareness now about Tibet, about the problem of Tibet. So more sympathy, more concern now is coming from the Chinese community. So this I feel one of the, I think the source of, I think very, very important source of our hope. And then basically I believe the People's Republic of China is in the process of changing. Now, unlike 60s and 50s, during that period, although the totalitarian system, too much rigid system, of course, I think great sacrifice for individual freedom. But there is certain goal and certain philosophy. The Marxist ideology, still, there's some of the Marxist ideology, still I believe. The Marxist ideology about equal. They not only concerned about how to make money, how to create money, but rather how to distribute. I think that's very important. This is a gap, huge gap, rich and poor, within one country. Very sad. Now here in the United States, of course you have the freedom, democracy, and very good things there, but at the same time, this gap, rich and poor. And these homeless people are very sad. And some old people, even if they're walking, a little bit difficult. And then on their face, very sad. So you see, when I see these things, then this is my sort of devotion to socialism is increasing. Really. So still, sometimes I'm no doubt socialist, not capitalist. That's very clear. So sometimes I myself is described as a half Marxist, half Buddhist. So in any way, you see, at that time, you see, there are strong ideology. People believe in it. I also believe in it at that time. But then, now today, no longer is that belief. Now no clear goal, the socialist state, classless society. Now impossible. Now new class, rich and poor, this new class now already now happening. Right? Very sad. So sometimes I'm wondering, this is a Chinese Communist Party, what their real ideology? What is their real goal? Just for money. Then what's the difference is capitalist and socialist? Difficult. So I think you see, credibility as a Marxist state, I think difficult. So therefore, the totalitarian system, without such things, very difficult to survive. Only matter of time will change. Have to change. I think that the leader of People's Republic of China, I think knows this. So they compel to follow the market-oriented economy and let this gap grow. And then, meantime, I also feel very clearly the minds of the Chinese leaders. If they give more political liberalization, and if the too much chaotic situation, what happened in former Soviet Union, if that kind of situation happened in China, I think that is very bad, not only to the Chinese, but the whole Asia. I think some consequences may happen. Because China, big populated nation. If some too much, there are still poor people, many people, millions of poor people there. Too much chaotic situation, I think a lot of people will suffer. And then if some bloodshed involved or started, I think a lot of people, especially poor people, will suffer. So therefore, I prefer change with gradual change from the within Communist Party. There's much there. So I think the Chinese leaders, I think their mental state, I think some kind of dilemma. They want to find some smooth, peaceful, transitional way. I think people here, I think especially many, I think the friends of many Americans who are, I think, genuine friends of China, I think you can help them to find some, you see, the more positive, smooth, transitional way. So this is the, I think, reality. And on the other hand, Tibetan spirit, very strong. The generation changed, but the new generation, these younger people, as far as Tibetan spirit is concerned, even stronger than the older generation. And also they help from outside. For example, the United States. Particularly, you see, younger people in many colleges and universities in America, now you see, quite a number of young boys and girls now really active regarding the Tibetan freedom. This is very, 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 very encouraging. Very, very encouraging. So there, and the most important, as I mentioned earlier, among the Chinese now, is more awareness now coming. So therefore, I feel, only question of time, I think things will change. So that's my, you see, whether blind faith or not, I think that's it.
Well, maybe on that positive note, we should end. And Your Holiness, thank you so much for coming to Berkeley, and thank all of you for coming as well.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Good. Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you.
Thank you. One for you.
Oh, thank you. Good. Bye-bye.
What do you